Nightmare 2 was a decent movie, but aside from some lavish effects, it didn't do much to set it apart from your typical slasher formula. It wasn't until the third installment that the filmmaker started to explore the further backstory of burned horror villain Freddy Krueger, as well as how far they could go with the film based in the dream world. Dream Warriors was directed by Chuck Russell, with the screenplay co-written by Wes Craven and Frank Darabont, who would later go on to helm the critically acclaimed Stephen King story, The Shawshank Redemption. The film follows several Elm Street kids, all of whom were committed to a mental hospital because of their shared dreams about Freddy. Most of them have already attempted suicide, and basically they're looking for a resolution, which later comes in the form of an experimental drug called Hypnosil. The story focuses on Kristen Parker, who possesses the ability to drag others into her dreams, putting everyone around her in mortal danger.
5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, better stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again. Where did you learn that rhyme?
The kids find comfort in Nancy, the protagonist from the original film, who has since gone off to study pattern nightmares. While it's nice to see Heather Langenkamp reprise her role, she's seen as a kind of gentle den mother, and doesn't have that youthful edge that so strongly personified her in the first film. The characters are all pretty memorable, and believe it or not, are the strong points here. Aside from Kristen, played by Patricia Arquette in her debut film, there's Kincaid, a temperamental loudmouth who's always getting thrown in the cold room.
See, he gets himself thrown in the quiet room so often that you probably won't see a whole lot of him. Ain't that right, Cool Breeze?
Right. I do it so I don't have to look at your ugly face all the time.
We'll start a policy of evening sedation for everybody.
The fuck you will? Anybody tries drugs on me, get his ass kicked.
Great, and that's my dick that's killing me.
Yo, Freddy! Where you hiding at, you burnt face pussy?
Joey, an antisocial misfit who's lost the ability to talk. Taryn, a former drug addict.
In my dreams, I'm beautiful. And bad.
Philip, a suicidal woodcarver, and Will, a physically handicapped fantasy lover.
Doesn't count. You gotta say the words.
This is stupid.
Oh, come on.
In the name of Lorik, Prince of Elves, demon be gone.
Lawrence Fishburne also makes an appearance as Max, an orderly, and there's Dr. Neil Gordon who tries to help Nancy fight Freddy by seeking answers about his background. They also expanded Freddy's backstory, something that is often hard to do in a horror movie because the genre isn't very story-driven. In the first film, we find that Freddy was a child murderer who was burned at the hands of a lynch mob. In this one, we find out about Freddy's mother, Amanda Krueger, a nun who was accidentally locked inside an insane asylum and raped by 100 maniacs. It gives the story an even more twisted feel, and it's accomplished by a simple piece of exposition. Robert Englund perfected the role of Freddy Krueger this time around. In the first film, he kept to the shadows. In the second film, he came across as a gruff monster. But in this one, he's both wisecracking and terrifying at the same time.
What's wrong, Joey? Feeling tongue-tied?
In my opinion, this is the absolute best portrayal of the character in the whole series. They were able to show a lot more of him. While his design looks more like Hollywood makeup than an actual burn victim, he gives a very sly delivery that makes him really unsettling.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
It's also kind of strange that in this film he tends to change the pitch of his voice. At some points it's more raspy, like in the first film.
What's wrong, Joey?
At other times it's deep-pitched, making him sound even more sinister.
For now, maybe. But when you wake up...
It's a good blend of acting and is one of those performances that can't be done justice by talking about it. Just watch the film! The best part of the movie, though, are hands down the effects. The kills are once again unusual and cruel, and at certain points, they're even phallic. Although I could never figure out why Freddy's house suddenly looks decayed and rotted after looking pretty normal in the first two films. And my favorite scene is where Dr. Gordon and Nancy's father have to fight a Freddy skeleton. This is by far the coolest thing we've seen in any of the films so far. Without spoiling the ending, the kids become dream warriors and embrace their strengths in their own preferred dream environments. Freddy offs them one by one, and eventually only a few of them are left to face him in a final confrontation.
It's over!
Of course, if it were really that final, there wouldn't have been 5 more sequels to follow. But I don't have one truly bad thing to say about this movie. It's that good, and definitely makes up for the lackluster nature of Freddy's Revenge. It's the Empire Strikes Back of the Nightmare series, and marks the peak of the franchise. If you see one Freddy film, take it from me. This is the one to check out.
Fella, wake up. Have a nice stroll, asshole.
I'm sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.